And bring us on the screen, please.
Lights on.
Good morning, Jack.
Good morning.
Yeehaw!
I see you have your. Well, tell us about that hat, Skylar. Let's do a few little chit-chatting before we get into our meat of the day, as it were.
I'm covering all the bases. I've got my farmer's flannel. I've got my cowboy hat that also has the American flag on it. So I am a hard-working, just honest, salt-of-the-earth American, and also obviously a patriot. Or I could be going to a drag show, which is interesting because
Like the
these MAGAs supposedly absolutely hate homosexuals, but I don't know. Some of the shit I see these guys wearing at rodeos, I wonder what event they're going to.
Look, I know you deeply love your country. I can tell because of your hat.
What else? You should see how many flags I have in the front yard, and my football field sized flag of Donald Trump with guns strapped across his chest and muscled out like Rambo, which is real. I've actually seen this.
You know, what's funny is there's a famous photograph from the 1980s called Ronbo. Someone stuck the head of the head of Ronald Reagan, the president at the time in the 80s, on the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Rambo poster. And it was a poster and a postcard, and it got published and all that. And I know about that because my father made that photograph. He was a professional photographer, a photomontagist. So he made images, get this, kids, before Photoshop, before personal computers existed. He did it in the darkroom the hard way, or with looking negatives and stuff. Yeah. So it's funny that idea is nothing new. It's not he's the first. People did it with painting before photography, but he had one out there and a lot of them that were popular at the time.
Good morning to Corinne.
Morning, Corinne.
Good morning to Lulu. Good morning to Lynn. Good morning to Chris. Look at all these early viewers. Love having you guys here.
And when he says guys, he means cool talk. We love you women.
Yeah.
I was corrected actually by some women about that. I was like, well, you tell me what you want and I'll give you whatever pronoun or descriptive you want.
It's a hard habit to break. I actually had when I was getting my teaching credential and I was doing the student teaching, a supervisor put down the notes, don't say guys when you say, because sometimes you're referring to an entire room and you're like, listen, you guys. And then she got up and did the exact same thing. Like, it's deeply ingrained. I would be shocked if you don't use it.
Oh, I do, and I'm open to, I'm a dinosaur in that respect, but I'm open to being corrected about it. Sly Stallone was Rambo's. Did I say something else? Probably I did. I'm still waking up, folks.
Maybe they're just offended that they put Trump's face on Rambo's body, showing what a courageous warrior for America he was. Indeed. Or is, or whatever's happening.
So just a little bit of housekeeping here. We're going to get into the topic of today, which is the, air quotes, invasion of barred owls in the western states.
Oh, nice shirt.
Yeah, thank you. I did wear this for this occasion because I love owls. And, who doesn't love owls? Anybody who hates owls. So they're
delicious.
Oh, very good. Very, very funny, Mr. Rimpo. So there's a big project going on, a push to not eradicate all owls, but to exterminate a lot of owls. And we're going to talk about that, but we want to do some other stuff first and a warm up. So if you only care about owls, come back in 10 minutes and we're going to do some chit chat at the moment. Skylar, you had a few topics, you said.
I do have a few, and I finally have this clip ready to go. I didn't choose to wear this today for just completely random reasons. I thought it would go well with this ad for more great Americans.
We're Phoenix Energy, a family-owned oil company focused on unleashing American oil from North Dakota and Montana. We've already sold over 2.9 million barrels, creating steady jobs for hardworking folks chasing the American dream. You can share in our success by investing with Phoenix Energy and get 9 to 13% annual interest through our Regulation D 506C bond offering. Join our next investor webinar to learn more about Phoenix Energy.
Can we spend a second and just go line by line how they nail everything required and how much it matches the exact same propaganda that the ranchers use?
Skylar, I think that's totally called for.
I mean, geez Louise. truth is stranger than fiction. I couldn't have written a parody making fun of it better than the real advertisement.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's go line by line. Corinne says, "What the f?" Yeah. No more need be said.
W2F stands for want to fund, I think, right? She wants, I mean, I'm sold. I want to sign. In fact, they mention the word soil. It's not just about oil, it's soil. So I feel connected to the soil and I want to participate in this. Creating
you
American
should see
jobs.
the other ad that features you should see the other ad that features the CEO. He looks just like JD Vance. Of course, I'm talking about ranchers, not these two vegans. Oh, did I miss an earlier?
Yeah, I was looking for that too. There's talk going on in the chat, and I can't keep up with it as usual.
Leah, your other message isn't showing. Poor Leah. She's given us a lot of comments on my YouTube channel, and YouTube is hiding them, and I'm not hiding them.
Oh, interesting.
I am scrolling up. Jack, do you see it?
That's your first on what we're being shown here, Leah. Your first comment we're seeing is, of course, I'm talking about ranchers, not these two vegans. It's the first thing that's in the feed for reasons.
But I appreciate your suggestion for me to scroll up. I appreciate your confidence in my stupidity.
No, that's the first comment I got.
Anyway, this is I can't believe it's being hidden here. We're in the studio. We're not even in YouTube, and we can't see it.
She says because it was too graphic. So I wonder, is this? There's a question, just a general question for the audience. When you do stuff in the chat on this feed, which is from EvMux as the platform, as opposed to StreamYard or another, or Zoom, is it filtered by anybody, or is it just this is a private thing so we can say whatever we want in the chat? Our audience can. I don't know the answer to that.
And you never will.
Well, no, we will actually. We're going to find out. This is public service, so
I won't be able to tell you.
Leah, write a comment that's with the Nazi word in it or something inappropriate, and see whether it comes through. She just says, "Wow, I've been sent it again."
R word? What is that? Rancher?
Republican? Racist?
Oh, maybe she said rape. Well, I don't know why you're talking about rape already. My God, you're just warming up.
These guys, I meant us, are so inappropriate. Well,
okay, let's do it.
Back to work.
Okay, let's go line by line here because this is a fun ad.
We're Phoenix Energy, a family-owned oil company focused.
Family owned.
And as you pointed out, Skylar, as we've discussed, name a business that isn't family owned. I guess General Motors, maybe.
I mean, I own a family-owned dog raping company. Oh, I'm a breeder. I'm a breeder.
Dog raising company. Is that what you meant to say?
Respectable career, dog breeding. Okay, do you see the off-gassing flames that they're putting on the screen as if it's something great? Hold on. All right, we got the family. I'm not sure they say multi-generational, which was about the only buzzword they didn't use.
They did.
But that's what I've pointed out about the rancher propaganda. Tell me a family that isn't multi-generational. Did anybody just fall out of the fucking sky and start a family?
Focused on unleashing American oil from
Unleashing. The poor oil is trapped, people. They're doing the oil a favor.
It really is an SNL spoof. You just the perfect choice of words, and it's the real deal. Incredible.
Poor suffering oil, and these guys are coming to the rescue.
And, I want to show, and there's this guy with a clean shirt and a clean hard hat with a clean oil derrick, I think that is, or some structure in the background. American oil, American soil. And what I feel like Oklahoma Crude was a movie in the 80s I grew up with, and the people were just coated in oil with a geyser that was uncapped yet. Like, show that. show the real effect of releasing oil. Or in Kuwait when it was on fire.
North Dakota and Montana.
That's very sad. Some areas that have some beautiful areas. Let's fuck them up and say that you're being a good American by doing it.
We've already sold over 2.9 million barrels, creating steady jobs for
jobs. What else? What's more important to the most sophisticated species on the planet than making a paycheck? And I cut them off too early. Listen closely.
Hardworking folks chasing
the
American dream.
Chasing the American dream, which is to sell your soul and earn a paycheck and then die. while you kill the planet.
So we don't want to create jobs for lazy, immigrant Mexicans streaming across the water taking our jobs. We just want hardworking Native Americans.
There's not a chance in hell that this field isn't full of Mexicans, by the way.
Because who wants
You
these
can
jobs?
share in our success by investing with Phoenix Energy and get 9 to 13% annual interest through our Regulation D 506C bond offering. Join our next investor webinar to learn more about Phoenix Energy.
Wow. And then the line at the bottom says what?
Invest in your future with Phoenix Energy. Join our next webinar to learn more.
Yeah.
Well, folks, there
Invest
it is.
in your future. Killing the effing planet is investing in your future, not your kids' future.
Right. And also, I give them credit. It's a nice logo, and it's Phoenix Energy. Rising like a phoenix. It's kind of as opposed to the dodo bird, energy company, which is going to make like the dodo.
I didn't want to take up the whole day on this, but I've got comparisons to the dairy billboards all over the place that incorporate the American flag and being American. And if you're a real American, you're drinking real milk.
Okay, so hang in there, folks. We are going to get to owls, I promise. I really want to talk about owls, but once we do, that'll run us through the end of the show. And we did want to touch on, if I may, Skyward, the other topic, which you didn't see, so I'm going to tell you. And
let me say one. I have several. That was only one of them, but I at least want to tell you a couple that I think you, being Mr. Tree Spirit Project, will appreciate. And I got to ask, because you're going to talk, you want to talk about owls, and if you're not a burrowing owl, you probably want a tree or some other structure. And as the Napa area has had some wildfires and a lot more trees have disappeared, and California has programs in place planning on removing acreage of forests to prevent wildfires. Now we have wildfires taking place in areas that have already been managed, which people don't seem to want to talk about, that the fires are actually really bad in managed areas. But when an unplanned wildfire takes place and wipes out trees that are a fire hazard, do they go back and alter the original plan that was calling for the removal of millions of trees when nature took care of part of the plan for them? The wildfire already took out a bunch of trees. Now you're going to go back and reduce the number that you were planning to go out and kill, or are we just going to add on to the loss of trees?
Well, this touches on the main theme of the owl issue, which is we humans, as you know, I mean, this is all our issues, Sky, where you and I met over the appointments issue. It's humans insert themselves into the wild to manage it, to make it better.
Have they ever succeeded in improving it? Ever?
And the irony is, I mean, the agencies can't admit anything, but, the public knows darn well that doesn't work. And yet we're still doing it in a major way. In fact, we even pay lip service to, we want to be natural and not suppress wildfires, for instance. But then we're going to thin forests so they don't burn catastrophically, a nonsense word, a non-science word, which is still fire suppression. So we say we're going to stop fire suppression while practicing fire suppression in just a slightly different way. Management.
Yeah. I've got a couple more headlines that I think you'll appreciate. And one of them says that LA is planting climate adaptive trees to cool communities. And while I can't be mad at that, I'm baffled as I watch so many other communities getting rid of trees because trees are villainized. And listen, I've been spending time here in the Presidio, which is one of the coolest places remaining to live, escaping from all these hot temperatures, and it's getting unnaturally hot here. And I've actually had to hide in the shade of trees here, which is pretty crazy. Cypress trees, which they are busy chopping down.
Do you know the reason? I assume because they're non-native? Claimed to be
right. They're from further down the coast, which, funny enough, I looked up, their historic range does include this area, but let's just skip that detail. Anyway, the restoration of plants from the past um, apparently requires the removal of these trees. But, this headline that I saw talking about climate adaptive trees, well, is anyone including the fact that the climate has changed and you're trying to bring back plants that are accustomed to a different climate? And you are not only are you destroying trees that are keeping it as cool as it used to be, you might find that you desperately needed those trees for the temperature to be what you wanted it to be for the plants that you're trying to bring back.
In the 80s, in the 90s, I was living in San Francisco and I got involved with Friends of the Urban Forest, wonderful organization that to this day plants trees in urban environments. San Francisco is where I was. And, more power to them. Fantastic. It's just what you say, plant more trees everywhere, anywhere. Great. However, I realized, no, I wanted to leave the city. It was too frustrating and too painful and the losses were too great and the wins too few. So I wanted to be to the country where I can work on let's not cut down as we currently are in Marin County, targeting hundreds of thousands of trees to be cut down. That for me as an activist, I can do more good by stopping the destruction of the existing few trees that remain rather than working in urban environments to plant more. And good morning, by the way, to Stephen Axelrod. I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. He's welcome. In Switzerland, so it's his late afternoon. And Steve and I hung out together. He was kind of mentoring me in many ways, certainly about the movies. In the 1980s, that's how far we go back, we both worked in advertising as fellow copywriters, me a junior to his more senior at J. Walter Thompson. That's how I know Stephen.
Leah, I haven't seen you comment again. Are you continuing to be censored? Did you put in the test message? Maybe she got banned by trying to put in the whatever her offensive message was.
She's been cussing the whole time. That's the trouble.
I didn't do it, Leah. All I can tell you is that I did not do it. Real quick, and we will move on. Here, let me throw this on the...
Stephen's blushing. He should be. Stephen Axelrod gave me some wonderful advice. It's funny how people affect people and they don't know. He was 10 years older than me. Now he's 10 years younger. I don't know how that happened. But he said, because I was single and I was dating in New York City, a wonderful place to do that as a young copywriter at an agency with a business card. And he said, Jack, don't go to bars. The only women you'll meet there are alcoholics. And I wasn't a drinker. It was like, yeah, do things you like in common. Anyway, I went to his office and he was just, yapping away, but handing out sage advice that I remember to this day, Stephen. So thank you, my friend.
So let me make this bigger. It says California farms face pressure to boost efficiency as water supply declines. And obviously, I think about the ranches of Point Reyes, McClure, who use 20,000 gallons a day. And I have to think about the constant promotion of them being sustainable, and that their multi-generational knowledge means they know how to do it right. Well, then how could you possibly need to be more efficient? You were already operating at maximum efficiency, were you not?
Well, just let's start with language, which I'm always going to pay attention to. They use the word farms. So do they mean animal farms or vegetable farms, crops? And those are two very different things. And typically the industry, the dominant industry, the big boy in the room, the cow in the room is the cattle industry, dairy cows and beef cows. I use the word cattle. It means ownership. I do use that word because it's handy to use. Those take up far more water. We can get into that, but they love to hide behind the word farms because it sounds benign and it includes plants as a way to hide their wildly oversized impact, which is a huge input of water. More water is used in Marin County, the one I know a little bit about. And of course you can Google all this stuff. Greater than all residential water use combined, washing your cars, showers, baths, watering your lawns, all of that is dwarfed by the amount of water. I don't know the exact gallons, but it's more water use just to feed cows in cow farms, which we often call ranches to differentiate. A ranch technically means beef, cows raised for meat. On and on goes the language, but beware the word farms, folks, because it's the way to hide cows behind crops of vegetables, which we should be eating.
Exactly. If you're working in animal ag, you can just stop talking about efficiency and sustainability immediately. Um, Thank you for adding a couple of thoughts to that. And speaking of which, one more screenshot as this news rolls through my YouTube feed, and how corporations are secretly poisoning our food supply. Can I just stop and say, if that dude is who's gonna tell me how to eat properly, maybe you should wake up. And he, of course, has cattle behind him, which explains his I am body shaming. But if we're going to talk about health and poison, then you need to use your context clues.
And
But
look at the land too.
yeah, yeah.
Look at that healthy land. He's probably a regenerative rancher, healing the land by turning grass into dirt. And I don't. That looks like an eastern forest back there, right?
Well, I know that it's not agriculture, so it's the only part that actually looks nice. So I also thought secretly poisoning our food supply. It hasn't been a secret for a very, very long time. And it's written on your labels that there's poisonous ingredients in it. Our FDA allows it. And now RFK or whatever the clown is who
RFK Jr. alone can fix it. Yes.
that guy's removed any regulations that existed at any point in time to reduce the amount that they were already allowed to legally poison you. How many documentaries have come out about the food industry intentionally poisoning you to go hand in hand with pharmaceutical company? I don't understand how this is news.
I mean, I don't know where to start. More perfect union. I don't know who that news outlet is. When I see stuff that I don't know, it's like, okay, who are they? Can I trust them as a news source? I mean, I agree with the headline. It's as you say, it's hardly news, but there's so many rabbit holes to go down on this stuff. I'm going to try not to take the bait because I like rabbits and owls.
Great point, Jack, says Corinne.
There's so much meat to bite into. Oh boy.
Let me put this back up on the screen. So, Jack, you are upset that barred owls are being targeted? Or you're happy that barred owls are being targeted?
So let me give people the overview here, because our audience of thousands will not know what we're going to go into here. So there is an initiative, a plan, a project. It's been at work for a couple of years, but it hit, I don't know, about a year ago, 8 months ago. And it's the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, USFWS, wants to help and protect. I should use the air quotes here, unless someone's driving a car, they can't see. Protect northern spotted owls, which are an endangered species listed in the ESA listing, Endangered Species Act listing, which is a noble idea. Great. Let's not have northern spotted owls, a small owl in the West, quote unquote native to the West. And we're going to get into the word native for sure here. Protected from what are labeled, and I do want to be careful here with the language, what are labeled to be invasive, air quotes on the word invasive, barred owls, B-A-R-R-E-D, not to be confused with the English barred owl, B-A-R-D, which does not exist. So two different species of owls, somewhat related. I don't know the genus and such, but the barred owl is a little bit bigger, considered a little bit more aggressive. And of course, aggressive is a negative word when you give it to a invasion biologist. And they have migrated from the eastern forests across the Great Plains because of human impact we'll get into, to allow them to find more places to roost and nest and expand their range. And with climate change as well, which is to say global warming, climate change a euphemism, global heating, find all the way, and I've got the timeline here, get into the details, in the 70s, I guess they made their way here. And now they're considered a threat. So all of that is interesting and sciencey and terrific. We know it's anthropogenic. They're caused by human changes. Barred owls have migrated across the country, and they're now in the same habitat as our northern spotted owls. There are fewer northern spotted owls. They're smaller. And I will even go along with their conclusion that there are perhaps fewer spotted owls, and perhaps they are under threat, quote unquote threat from the larger, more numerous, more aggressive, let's use that word, barred owl. Okay. End of overview. The proposal to remedy this situation caused by humans, importantly, caused by humans' impact on the climate and on forests to allow, basically to force the barred owl who's trying to survive, across the country. The solution is to kill the barred owls here.
Right.
And when I say kill, I'm not just talking your regular kill, Skyward, the way you would.
What?
Sorry. It's 400. Someone wrote, I can't believe this. They're going to kill 47,000 owls. And I said, no. You're misreading the number. That was the dear woman, Lulu here. One of the women here. It's not 47,000 owls. That would be bad enough. I'd be involved in this if it was 4,000 owls. They are targeting 470,000 owls, almost 500,000. And of course, by the time they're done, they'll continue to do it. It's a 30-year project at a cost of, I think it's $1.3 billion.
Oh my God, come on.
Luring them out with recordings of the owl call. So it comes out at night.
Jesus Christ.
And then they shoot them with shotguns. This is wildlife management by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Well, and that's why Corinne says USFWS is one of the most evil bureaucracies on the planet. They're not good. And guess who? Guess who takes their cues from them? Point Reyes National Seashore. Oh, we checked with Fish and Wildlife.
I used to go ahead,
Jack. I'm having a hard time, actually, not to call you out, but I'm having a hard time believing that 400,000 thing, because I was looking it up, and what I was looking up made it sound like there were only in the low thousands. Like they've already killed off like 3,700, and the total number isn't. And that supposedly represented a third of the total population in California.
So this is in 3 Western states, California, Oregon, and Washington.
Oh.
The projected number that they would be killing ongoing. Now, to be accurate, which I do try to be, and you're a good example of someone who is extremely accurate in your research about which you get angry, but you've actually held my feet to the fire about that, and it's a really good thing to do. So thank you for that service. It's a projection of how many they will be killing in a 30-year-long program. So they're not out to make barred owls extinct, but it is, I call it, because I use the inflammatory language, an extermination program where we're going to not eradicate all of them, but we will exterminate, like exterminators do cockroaches. They're not out to kill all cockroaches, just everyone in your building or house. And of course, I like cockroaches, and that's a whole other story, but it is an ongoing program for 30 years. And the idea that we're going to manage things, we create problems in nature, and then we fix them by killing, always killing. And that, for me, the real issue here, the root of all this evil, is the belief in something that I call invasion biology. I have a webpage devoted to it and several other pages devoted to it, treespiritproject.com/invasion biology. And it's the notion that we humans, in our infinite wisdom and knowledge of nature, get to play God. We say who lives or dies. We get to say that the barred owls are too aggressive. And we get to say the northern spotted owl is the species that should survive as the climate changes and as we screw up the planet by cutting down forests. So 30 years from now, we should still have northern spotted owls. And I love northern spotted owls. I love all owls. But leave it to nature to better manage itself, because we can't even manage an economy. And we invented the economy. We're going to manage nature with its incredible complexity. And of course, as you and I are constantly going on, Skylar, you with Point Reyes, they're going to manage the elk population by fencing it and shooting them, because they want to manage subjugated, domesticated cows for human consumption. We're just the worst at it. And that brings us to Gary Yourofsky's rants about humanity, and as we got into with him on our show last week, about just how humans are terrible at this. And of course, you give a maniac who doesn't know much, and his ignorance is only outshined by his arrogance, and you give him a gun and a bottomless box of shotgun shells. What could possibly go right?
Well, bringing it back to me talking about the wildfires, and no, seriously,
yeah,
and deforestation, and the barred owls are moving because of both climate change and humans. Every time that there's when I used to bother seeing what, I limit myself. to maintain any form of sanity at all.
Yeah.
But people love to say, oh, they have plenty of places to go whenever something's chopped down to develop it, or chopped down to prevent fire, or chopped down or burnt down. And and all they talk about is what the humans have lost. And I'm like, you have any idea what else we lost? And the responses would be, oh, they have plenty of places to go.
Yep.
That's clearly not true. Otherwise, they wouldn't be forced to move on. So, you say invasion biology is the root of the evil. Well, I mean, whatever humans have in their brains that think that it's smart to destroy forests or any other form of habitat as part of their improvement program, might be the root of the evil. But I do have a solution if you're interested.
Very much so.
You have to turn owls into commodities, agriculture. If you eat them, suddenly they have value. There's 5 million cattle that don't belong on this continent in California right now, and we're okay with that because we eat them. Just start eating the owls, and everything's okay, Jack.
I'm not sure.
Suddenly there'll be a place for them.
Methinks me hear some sarcasm roar.
Sarcasm based on reality. I actually had someone say that to me back during the heat of the defending of the elk, and this dipshit said to me, oh, well, maybe if we could harvest them for food. And it just speaks to human beings don't see value in other things unless we can selfishly take from it.
Use, exploit.
Use.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, if someone asked me what veganism was, thinking it's a diet, and it reminded me, and I'm to credit to Leah, who's in my ear about this stuff with her vulgar and strange, strong language that I so appreciate.
Apparently, she's been banned. I don't see her in the chat.
Yeah, actually, they've actually silenced her microphone through the.
I did not do it, Leah.
On a microphone. But anyway, Leah reminds me, veganism is nothing more than the idea that we humans are not superior and should not use. So use is a simple word. Use animals for any purpose. Leave them be. They live in their own right. And that's a much broader definition than just don't eat meat or don't eat eggs or dairy or chickens or fish and all that. Just don't use animals for anything. Let them be. We don't need to eat them, and it's healthy if we don't. So simple. And of course, that's cataclysmically large effect on our human culture to if you actually were to act that out as we vegans try to do.
Let's read some comments. Catch up really quick. Corinne called this carnage. Chris Cedar. Go ahead and read it, Jack.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Skyra. Really great timing. It's good working with you on this thing. Chris says, my area, meaning she lives in Fairfax and she knows about the owl issue. And she says, I don't think the barred owl threat is significant. And I would agree with that. Sure, there'll be some, actually, Chris, comment more as I speak here. But my understanding is, yes, the barred owls will have some effect on the NSOs, northern spotted owl, but it's not going to make them extinct. It's just one more stressor on a species that's already under stress from deforestation. We could do a lot more to help the owl by not cutting down an additional 39,300 acres in a deforestation management program of forests pushed by Marin wildfire and Cal Parks and Cal Fire. Stop cutting down the forests, and there'll be less stress on all the animal populations that we then go sort out and decide who lives and dies and who we have to kill for the little bit of habitat, because we are creating the less habitat by attacking the wild.
It's kind of like me getting upset about the Monterey cypress being chopped down. I actually am for restoration of native habitat, because you're talking about the producers at the core level of an ecosystem. It's probably pretty important to all the other creatures in that ecosystem that the producer level is the correct one. But we're not ever going to solve the core problem, which is that humans keep creating new problems. And unless we're going to stop our destructive behavior, then I don't want to hear your proposed extremely expensive solutions. I don't know what's happening with year end, but I don't know if you stuck your butt in the lens, but all we see is blurriness. Corinne, thanks for asking what a super chat is. If you are on YouTube, which it tells me you are, oh, there's Jack's back. I can't hear you. Go and check your settings. You are not muted on my end. Chris also says, I don't think the barred owl threat is significant.
Can you hear me now?
There you are. A super chat is if you are typing in the comments during a live show, you'll see a little icon on the side to boost your chat. You can give a little something and your message will appear. And I would say that your message would receive priority, but we prioritize everybody.
Can you thank you for running the show while it was, for some reason, my camera was cut. The whole thing was cut. Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, if I may, with the owls issue, unless Chris wants to add some more, which would be welcome, but you can Google this, folks, and there's different links. And what's interesting about this issue with the owls is these facts that I'm going to read off are not in dispute. So those who don't want to kill owls, like me and the sane people, and those who want to kill them, which is every agency, of course, wants in on the killing action because there's money in them. There are shotgun shell hills. These are not in dispute. And these are notes I took. Human-altered Great Plains. So barred owl western migration was because of European settlement and agriculture. There's that hidden word. Does it mean cows? Probably, because it takes up 10 times more land than vegetable crops. European settlement and agriculture led to tree planting and fire suppression. There you go, in the Great Plains, creating forested habitats and corridors for owls to move west. Rising temperatures and altered conditions in northern boreal forests created barred owl habitat where there previously wasn't. So it was additional routes west. And then our agriculture, now it does say like grain farms, but those are grain farms, of course, silos of grain for the cows, likely increased the populations of prey animals like mice, which supports its food for owls. And then interestingly, this is the part I didn't know, that barred owls began moving west of the Mississippi in the 1900s. So 100 years ago, this began. So it's not like all of a sudden it's a huge invasion. You know, they say invasion, and that word is so non-scientific and fraught with emotion. It makes you think that there's millions of them moving quickly. No, for 100 years. And then it was, they first reached British Columbia, Canada in 1959-ish, barred owls, that is. And then the first documented owls in the western state of Washington, and then from there they went south, Oregon and California, as they reached us now, was in the 1970s. So already we're talking, 70 years ago.
So where was the most intelligent species with the foresight that this was going to become a problem, preventing it from getting worse? Oh, they were busy chopping down forests. That's right.
Still are.
Yeah, you're freezing again. You might need to get some fiber set up over there or something.
I can maybe I'll put down the quality of my camera. I can probably do that. Resolution. Set it lower. I'll do 720.
I don't know what you're doing. I'm just going to talk for a while. Jack and I both want the spotted owl to do well. We both want the barred owl to do well. I think we're both tired of the only thing humans do is come in and start killing things. You know, that's the easy way out. And it blows my mind that even that costs billions of dollars because it's not very thoughtful. It's not very complex or intelligent. It's just destructive. And to think that these clowns are going to come through with shotguns aren't going to have a massive amount of collateral damage with other species is insane. When are we just going to stop creating problems that lead to humans conveniently getting an excuse to get out their guns again? If we actually operated in a manner that gave me faith in human beings, I would actually be more tempted to debate you on this and be like, hey, yeah, but if this species is allowed to thrive here and this one is kept to where it's supposed to be, then this beautiful thing can happen in the ecological relationship that they have. But that's a fantasy. All we're doing is destroying the situation, event after event after event, and responding to it by doing more destroying. Yeah. So I can't even get excited about the idea that this is supposedly to protect the spotted owl. What if the spotted owl had moved somewhere else in response to the barred owl? Now we're killing the spotted owl, aren't we?
Well, it's again humans trying to run the show, thinking that we can and we should, and then the additional stressor, of course, is capitalism. So, meaning people need to earn a living, as they say, and agencies need to get budget. And hey, there's something we can do here instead of spending X amount of dollars to make, for instance, in wildfire houses ignition resistant. Just treat the house in this area so that the embers from a wildfire doesn't ignite the house. That would make us safe. Instead, we spend 10 times the amount of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, cutting down the forest around the house so nothing can burn, not realizing, or not, maybe we realize it, but we don't act on it, that cutting down a lot of trees is not a good idea. You'd think we learned that one, but no. Capitalism drives that as well.
Makes you say safe until the human burns down their own house.
Well, it's like, I mean, as I tell people, you can, like, Jack, I'll get pushback, like, trees are flammable. You're saying they're not a danger? It's like saying, well, yeah, if you cut down all trees and pave over all of the forested areas so that you make basically Marin County a city, you won't have wildfires. True enough. But your other
your homes are wildfires threats.
It still adds to the climate crisis. Then you're going to have the oceans rise and overflow the bay. But don't worry, we'll put up a seawall to prevent the sea from rising, because we're not going to actually stop the cause of the rising sea. Global heating caused by humans, anthropogenic climate change, climate crisis.
So I'm guessing you don't have a brilliant solution to this.
Well, I'm sorry. Of course I do. I have all solutions. To which one would you like me to solve first? The owls or climate crisis? It's simple. No, I'm serious. I'm joking and I'm not joking.
Let's start with climate crisis, which will solve a lot of other things.
Okay, let's work backwards. Okay, sure.
To solve climate crisis, you're going to get rid of humans, I'm assuming.
No. Oh my God, you are such an anti-human. Oh my God, you misinformed. No, I love people.
Sorry. Well, I didn't want to be woke.
No, it's funny. I used to give a stupid talk on stage. I spoke at a forestry conference. I showed my naked tree hugging pictures, like the thing behind me where people are coming to the ocean, to the trees. And it is, I didn't say it's easy, but it is simple. I mean, who could disagree? It's first, back way the hell off, transition off of fossil fuels, keep it in the ground despite the multi-generational oil drillers, and, switch to renewables, wind and solar, the stuff that Trump rails against because he wants to go back to, digging coal with his coal mining family from Austria, the Trump estate. And then other is, of course, the one that you and I do, and many people on this show know to do, which is really cut out the meat and dairy, especially the meat and dairy, beef and dairy. And then, of course, vegan, I would encourage for being kind to our animal brothers and sisters. We don't need to dominate and subjugate anymore. But even if you just get off the eating what's from a cow, massive decrease in methane emissions, particularly, which are far worse, 20 to 30 times or 80 to 90, depending on whether you've measured over 20 or 100 years, huge greenhouse gas impact. So, and then cut out with the cutting down trees, the deforestation. And the number one reason we cut down trees is to raise cattle for human consumption, particularly in the rainforests of South America. So there you go. I've solved it. Next question. Let's move right on, shall we? But, doing those things doesn't seem to be so simple as Jack indicates.
Well, you provided a definition of vegan earlier, your own definition of it. I don't even like using the word anymore because people have actually come up with multiple definitions of what it means. I need an acronym that quickly covers, I just don't selfishly and unnecessarily indulge my taste buds with the suffering of other animals that also kills the planet. That's my definition of vegan.
Unlike the debacle I saw with Gary Yourofsky yesterday, and
oh boy,
and Natalie Fulton and Catherine Klein, God bless their hearts, which is a Southern expression. Oh, I didn't mean to bring that up, did I? It's just like, oh, great, that's Skywar's definition. Pretty good definition. Go for it. That's your definition, and I encourage you to speak your mind and from your heart in your way for that issue. Fantastic.
Is that what this Gary conflict was about the definition of veganism?
Oh God, no! I wish it was restricted to that. It was a real, let's use the word ship show, in the worst possible outcome, which of course does benefit the algorithm. We've got thousands and thousands of views on what happened because it was so conflict ridden. It's why you and I didn't, for lack of another word, go at Gary about stuff. I also knew not to because it wasn't going to be productive. Of course, it's the nature of also the show. When you get conflict, that you get rewarded for that with more views. And it's very tempting to make conflict shows to get more views. And it wasn't intentionally, in my humble opinion, just one person's opinion, this will be debated. It wasn't intentionally meant to be conflict, but it was kind of inevitably going to happen. And sure enough, like fireworks on a boat in a firestorm, they were going to go off, and the whole boat blew up. No, I mean, really. Anyway, let me just finish with the owls. So I did put a link. Just if people can do something. I don't just say this terrible stuff to make you feel terrible at owls. There's two different places you can. There is a resolution, amazingly, get this, in the House and the Senate, to stop the owl killing forever. I mean, such that anything is forever in the legislature, because things can be written in, written out, written in, written out. But In Defense of Animals has a action you can take, and it takes 3 minutes. And, I find them sort of frustrating in that you want to do more, but it is something and it does matter. So we get a lot of people signing that and pushing the politicians. They'll work at it from the legislative point of view. So that's the least you can do. It's pretty easy to do. Thank you very much for that. You put that in the chat. You can also just go to the In Defense of Animals website, and in the search, put in owls, and it'll come up. And I have a second. There's another group that's been doing really good work on this called Animal Wellness Action. Skyward in just a moment is going to get that link from me, and he'll put that in the chat too. They also have a petition. Sign that one as well. So, I appreciate folks. If you do want humans to stop managing, a euphemism for killing, management always, with almost no exceptions, means killing. Stop killing owls.
Can you put those links that you are communicating to me in our private chat? Because it's not coming through in text.
I don't know where our private chat is. Maybe you can teach me how to do that. I'm looking at share media. No. Share screen. I'm looking at the buttons I have below, and I don't see anything.
Go over at the tabs that say layers, music, comments, banners. And there's a private chat stuck in there that kind of doesn't belong with the rest of those things, but nevertheless, it's there. While you look for that, I'll address Leah. Yeah, vegan isn't just about food, though. And the funny thing is, I was trying to indicate that it isn't, because it's about just not thinking about yourself, the selfish indulgence of something you didn't need in the first place. And so much of that comes back to food, because so much of the suffering comes from your choices of what you eat. But if you're willing to think beyond or sacrifice, I say sacrifice, I mean, none of us go starving. If you're willing to have a healthier diet that benefits you, then you might also start to think about other things. But there's a wake-up process. Once you open your mind to, oh, man, what I'm putting in my mouth is actually causing a lot of harm, then if you reach that step, maybe you start reaching some other steps and realizing harm that our species, cause while being oblivious. That's the biggest problem, is the extent of how oblivious we are to everything, because we're so busy worshiping ourselves, because it's all about us.
I totally agree. It's why Gary goes on and on about education. From his perspective, one very valid perspective, not the only perspective, but what you just said, it's about education, educating people. As an activist, I agree, whether it's in the media or, a podcast or going off and doing a demonstration, you're trying to educate the public and also the media, because those two feed off each other. And then to work backwards on the whole Gary imbroglio, if we want to touch on that, I don't know, I guess some of our audience will care, but Leah is always pressing on me about, don't just make it about food, veganism, Jack. And I kind of have come from a place where you just were, if I understood you correctly, Skyra, which is, well, most people, they're not betting on a horse race or dog racing or cockfighting or something. There are leather jackets and leather shoes, which matters too, but it's mostly food. That's the thing we can stop doing 3 times a day. But Leah's like, no, address the bigger, and I'm now paraphrasing something awful, so forgive me, Leah, but my point is a positive one, which is, from your point of view, like, no, you got to address the bigger overview of how we humans look at the other animals of the world as less than, below us, and we have dominion over them. Address that and all the problems melt away. So I don't disagree with that. And it's a matter of emphasis. And even that there's 3 different people who are all vegan activists here, you and me on screen, Leah off screen. have our different approaches from our different flavors of personality, our different life experience, our different predilections, our different preferences, our different strengths of activism. And so be it, to live and let live about that. We're all very well-meaning and want to do good things. We do it in different ways.
Consider, for example, a banner that I saw on Highway 80 heading toward Sacramento, which is both sides are agriculture almost the entire way, except for the strip malls that are replacing agriculture. And the mass housing developments going up, that's biggest advertisement is, hey, your commute could be a little bit shorter if you're willing to live in an even worse nowhere than you already do. Anyway, I'm sorry, this billboard in Agland was actually talking about, hey, don't buy leather products, don't there's alternatives. And I'm like, that's a good message, but like you think that the buying of the leather products is what we should be focused on, surrounded by all of these animals that you're about to eat. And so what happens with the rest of the animal when you stop creating the leather products? You just throw it away. And someone's going to jump on me saying that by turning around and making humans angels again for doing what? Using the entire animal. We were efficient with our destruction.
Just like the Native Americans did.
Yeah, just like
with their industrial slaughterhouses and chainsawing an assembly line of death.
Can I derail us one more time? Thanks to Leah. I'm going to blame Leah's comment here.
Sure.
Clothing, testing, torturing for other products, entertainment, rioting, etc. I'm going to pick one out of there, testing for other products. One of the other products tested for are perfumes. And I just want to say, humans don't smell good. Has anyone else had that revelation? Because I haven't worn cologne or anything like that in so long. And I spend so much time in nature that when I go to the beach, and for some reason you have people that have just doused themselves in perfume and cologne, and I start literally choking because the air has been filled with these chemicals. And as if that isn't bad enough. And I'm like, that isn't even what you smell like. Who are we fooling? Perfumes are developed by torturing animals in labs. And if that isn't sick enough, a lot of it has to do with getting into their genitalia in order to create these other smells that we humans then spray on ourselves. And if I wasn't weird enough with this, I'm going to give you the full thing before you respond to it. Have you ever walked up to an animal in the wild and thought, man, you don't smell good? No. It's humans that have come up to me and I'm like, God damn, what the hell's that? Or, if I were to use an extreme example, not only, but sometimes homeless people have become encompassed with their human smell instead of always washing it off the way the rest of us do. Have you ever come across a wild animal that stunk as bad as a Homo sapien does?
I don't even know where to enter this conversation. Skylar, you just like...
This is a show we'll do.
God.
We are not superior people. You cover up our inferiority with the chemicals of animals that you tortured in a lab.
We are animals, and we do have a smell. And if you wash more often, you have less of a smell. But then there's, the whole industry of products to sell you stuff so you don't smell like yourself, but you smell like the products by torturing animals to get the smell. And I thank you for the genitals. I didn't know that. I'll go to sleep with that tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, they're taking the pheromones out of them because we're actually supposedly like trying to induce a reaction from other human beings with the pheromones of non-humans that are incorporated into a chemical that we spray on ourselves to cover up what we actually smell like. Yeah.
Hard to believe, once again, we're the most intelligent species on the planet.
Hard to believe I'm not making that up. I sound like a really sick individual with a creative mind, a twisted creative mind, but I'm just telling people the reality.
Hard to believe I'm bald, but I don't just use the product. I own the company. In the private chat, I did send you those 2 links. Is that just for you that you see?
I put them I added it to the comments.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's funny. I don't see all that. Oh yeah, I do. I'm sorry, it's back. Okay, thank you. So yeah, you want me to touch on for what it's worth? I mean, in our little Tempest in a Teapot vegan community, there'll be a whole thing on uh, Gary and the two gals, the two women, Natalie Fulton and Catherine Klein. Uh, it was just sad. In the final analysis, 24 hours later, it's just sad. These are three people, in my opinion, and this is controversial, I suppose. They're all vegans who want to do well in the world, and by treating animals better and not having humans abuse them. So they all have that in common, but that was left on the, God help me for a football analogy, on the end zone, and they were all duking it out in the middle of the field, far away from that commonality, and no one in that group. And it's not easy to do when you're triggered and it's heartfelt issues. I understand it. I don't judge it, but there was no skill, no ability to mediate, to find the common ground and work from there. It started out soft, and then about, I don't even know, 2 hours in, all hell broke loose, and it really got basically name calling at each other and triggered and angry and defensive. And I have my biases in what was being said, but it's beyond that. And more importantly, it was so sad to see people who, in my opinion, mean well, just going at it and arguing and making no progress, and they didn't know how to get out of that, and it kept on going around in a loop. And Natalie was kind of in the middle between Catherine and Gary, going toe to toe and yelling at each other. Or Gary was doing more of the yelling, to be accurate about it, and Catherine was defensive and explaining and trying to be rational and staying on point. But everything he was saying was triggering Gary, and it was just sad, just really sad that it had to go that way. And it didn't have to go that way, but poor Natalie, sitting there, didn't know how to handle it. No fault of her own. I wouldn't have been able to handle it when I was her age. I would now. Just everybody take a breath and step back and find common ground. And just, it started out soft. That was the thing that was sad. You actually saw that they were each open to each other. And when you're in a softer mood and not yelling at each other, then people can bend and they can find common ground and make progress.
Maybe the takeaway is don't go over 2 hours, because even I would start to get cranky. We made it 3 hours. Now, we made it 3 hours with Gary. Should we commend ourselves for that, or does it mean that we didn't get into the really controversial stuff?
Well, I can answer that question. The answer is yes. Okay. The answer is both. I mean, Leah, God bless her, wanted us to do some of as the expression is, hold him accountable for some of the awful things Gary has said. Gary will admit to that. But the way it works with most people, and especially Gary's, how about this? This is safer. Let me make this analogy. You're having an argument with your lover. How successful have you been going into the next day to resolve the argument that was a big firestorm the day before by saying, look, I want to talk about this, but first you have to apologize because you were wrong, and then we'll talk. How well does that go? So it's how you do something, not even that you can't talk about stuff. But if you go in, you're wrong, I'm right, I demand something from you before we meet at the negotiating table, it is doomed to fail.
Corinne says we did great with Gary. Thank you, Corinne. Leah apparently heard what you're talking about. I didn't. This is news to me. It made me sad too. I messaged with Natalie and Catherine after. But in which context did it make you sad? I don't know what happened, but
yeah, ask Leah. She and I haven't spoken about it. And I messaged with Gary, just trying to give him some love. Like, man, Leah, for me, and I mean, again, this extends beyond this one little kerfuffle, which was kind of a raging shit show to watch and painful, because I care about the people involved, and I certainly care about the message, and it wasn't advancing anything for anybody. I forgot my point. I was going to say something. The women, they're just a different energy. They come on newer to the scene, and they look at some of the heroes of the movement. Gary is certainly one of them, and say, well, he did so and so, and he did this, and he said this. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but how you say that and in what context makes all the difference in the world. And they were as skilled as they were able, and they meant well. Gary took it personally and thinks they were out to personally, attack him and bring him down. And I don't think that was true either. I mean, I'm not feeling what Gary was feeling, so I understand his feelings. He was justified in feeling really sandbagged and assaulted and attacked and not appreciated. But I don't think that was their intent. That's why I call it a tragedy. My therapist taught me that word years ago. A tragedy is when both sides are not out to hurt each other or do great damage, but because of their interactions and the best they can do, they do great damage to each other. That's tragic.
So we started with current news and we ended with current events.
Yeah, such that. I mean, Steve Axelrod in Switzerland was like, what are they talking about? Who's Gary? You know, and oh, by the way, Gary Yourofsky, Stephen, and anybody else who doesn't know that name, Gary Yourofsky, go to my vegan page, treespiritproject.com/vegan, and scroll down until you see a video by the man who arguably, Gary Yourofsky, in the 1990s through the 2000s, probably single-handedly was a passionate enough speaker, and I'm a student of public speaking, passionate enough to convince hundreds of thousands, certainly hundreds of thousands of people in multiple countries, including the US and in Israel, to become vegan, to say, you know what, his argument's really good. I'm going to stop eating animals and abusing animals and see them as having more value than I was taught. I mean, that's a remarkable achievement. And he is all too human and can say crazy stuff out of his mouth because he's a firebrand, you know, like you, Skyward. I see the commonality between you two. It's your emotion and your passion comes out in a raw, real, unfiltered way that's the opposite of a politician, which is why you guys, understandably, as I do, have disgust for the politicians who are like, finger to the wind. Okay, I'll say that. Oh, I'll say this. And you don't know, it's not real.
I would like to present to myself the challenge of doing a one-on-one with him about a couple of things that I don't see eye to eye with him about, and see how well I can compose myself with another fiery person.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Yeah.
Leah, did you want to call in? I put the call-in link up. I think she's working. But Leah, also, did you attempt to repost what you posted earlier? We are, in fact, curious about what the hell's going on with the censorship. My other channels, people tell me I'm getting censored all the time and their stuff's not appearing, and that YouTube won't even suggest my stuff to them, even though they've subscribed. Oh, by the way, everyone, I've reignited my Shark channel and I'm doing live shows on there too. So for those of you who enjoy the live shows, Thursdays at the same time.
How do we get to the live Shark show on, I'm sorry, repeat it again, just the information again, Thursdays?
Thursday mornings, 9 a.m. on YouTube. And I'm glad you asked. I will just go and fetch the direct link for you.
Okay. And also, is there a simple way to, I mean, for let's just pretend I'm an idiot. Just pretend.
I'll try to wrap my head around that.
You go to YouTube and you go Watching Humans. You search Watching Humans. And that takes me to Skyward's stuff called Watching Humans. And then in there I've seen multiple feeds. There's live, there's video, there's podcast, which for me, the idiot, hypothetically now, where would I look to find the Shark show? Under which column?
I'm going to, you would look under podcasts. You could also look under live.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to make it confusing already, but here, let me just give you the upcoming one. That way everyone can know to go to this one on this upcoming Thursday.
So good for you, Sky. Are you doing our Tuesday show at 9? You're doing a Thursday show at 9. And are you still doing every Friday at 9?
No, not every Friday. I don't remember what the conflict was last time, but then I was like, I'm doing live shows so many days a week now that I'm barely getting to the editing. And I have like at least 3 different personalities that I'm juggling. I mean, I'm going to send out a members only video on this channel really quick, talking about the transition from the Shark channel to the vegan channel, which to this day, I'm like, was that the right decision? Because people go on there to hear about sharks, and I'm already controversial because I like to tell the hard hitting truth instead of, catering to the sensationalism that gets views. But then when I went vegan, I thought, I'm going to need another channel for everything I want to say about veganism and talking trash about humans all the time, because even if people agree with me, that's not what they go to a Shark show to hear.
Yeah. It's tough. I get it.
But I had a guy on Thursday who is a friend of mine who's gone out filming with me, and now he's been on a Netflix show, and he gave up seafood because of his correlation of the damage that the fishing industry does to the animals that he works with. And I obviously had a problem with not going vegan because, like, you're just playing mental gymnastics. For you to think that terrestrial agriculture isn't killing the ocean is so easily unproven that you aren't even really trying to see the truth.
Yeah, willful ignorance, not wanting to know the truth.
Anyway, so there's a teaser of a topic to do on that I guess goes on this channel. Could go on both channels, but I'll probably post it on here.
Well, put it on both. Put it on both and cross-pollinate. I mean, all these issues are interrelated, of course. But I to your point, you want to get the audience in on something that meet them where they are, and then you can take them where you would like them to go. To educate them.
Let's wrap it up. You got closing things to say about the owls?
It's funny, after watching yesterday's almost 3-hour debacle, like, we're only an hour, we're just getting warmed up, but you're right, we should cut it. So thank you, Skyward. Thank you for running the platform and doing the shows, which is a lot of work, and the frustrations of running this stuff technically I don't have to deal with, thanks to you. Thank you to our loyal audience. Really appreciate that. I will be here next Tuesday, but I think I'm going to leave it to you, Skyward, to come up with our topic, because I'm going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday out of town on the Giant Coast Redwoods trip, getting into the trees and away from all these machines, God help me. And I don't think I'm going to bring my laptop even. I just want to unplug for a few days finally. Actually, Corinne is going, so she knows of what I speak. For the owls issue, there's 2 links here, or go to In Defense of Animals, and in the search, just type in owls, and there's an alert there about to get 2 minutes.
There it is up on the screen again.
Okay, so it's in the recording, but also people can just go directly to In Defense of Animals and search for owls, and there's an alert there. And just, again, education, and please share this show. It really is helpful, especially because we're not screaming at each other and shooting at each other or other people, so therefore the algorithm doesn't love us because we're not enough conflict, as opposed to the debacle yesterday with Gary and Catherine and Natalie is going to get a ton of views because it's conflict ridden, and they're going to pull out 10 and 20 and 30-second clips. We'll talk about it later, Skyward. There's so much great, awful, conflict-ridden footage that advances no ball except the ball of the algorithm to make money, to get people to further separate on the divide of Gary's great, no, Gary's terrible, rather than the middle of reality, which is everybody's a mix.
Well, that's what makes us so special and so sophisticated and so superior, is our attraction to drama. We are amazing.
Well, I'll give you, we are amazing.
Remember, everyone, invest in your future by killing the planet, and go save some of that poor oil that is trapped in the ground in Montana and North Dakota.
Unleash the oil! Unleash the oil!
Be a good American.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. Watching Humans podcast with Skyward Thomas and I, Jack Kashite of the Tree Spirit Project. Subscribe, comment, all that cool stuff, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday, or see you Thursday if you come over to my shark channel.
Excellent.
At White Shark Video.
At White Shark Video, not at Watching Humans, or those are 2 ways into the same store?
Two separates.
Okay. I'm trying to keep it simple because I'm the great communicator, because
yes,
it's an idiot. So
keeping it simple by complicating everyone with your last terrible, terrible question. You incompetent old man. There, I gave us a sound bite. Trying to cater to the algorithm.
Stupid, incompetent dipshit. There you go. There's a sound bite. They're a great show. Thank you, Lulu. Love you too. Thank you.
All right. Goodbye.